Hello and welcome to another video, and honestly I wasn't planning on making this video, but sometimes big news stories break, and especially ones that I want to cover on the channel, and so you have to kind of rearrange your plans and just go with the flow, so to say. So this is a video I've wanted to kind of talk about, and I have talked about this topic on the channel a little bit earlier this year, but more in detail. It's also a topic that's come up on Podcast 572, which, as I'll plug it probably every video for the foreseeable future. If you have not listened to Podcast 572 yet, please go listen to it. Give us a like, subscribe to it. It is on Spotify. It is on iTunes. It's everywhere podcasts can be got. You can also listen to it right here in audio format on the Marble Gallery channel. But we've talked about this topic a couple times on the podcast. However, some big news broke today. It's kind of honestly crazy, because I feel like for the last decade or so, the two entities that are the Xbox division of Microsoft and the PlayStation division of Sony have mostly played nice. I'd say since not even the last decade, but I'd say the last 5, 6, 7 years. Kind of ever since Phil Spencer took over and we had Sean Layden as the head of Sony for a while, and then even if you want to throw Nintendo in there, you had Reggie as the head of Nintendo. Famously, a couple years ago at the Game Awards, they had that awesome moment where all three of them got on stage. I don't think we're ever going to see a moment like that again, but that was an incredible moment in video game history, honestly. This deal, obviously, the Microsoft Activision deal, is one of the biggest things that has happened in 2022. That Microsoft is paying $68.7 billion to acquire Activision and Blizzard, which is a huge tide turner, honestly. I mean, they're going to have Call of Duty, Diablo, World of Warcraft in general. All these huge franchises are going to be under the Microsoft umbrella now, which, is potentially exciting for Microsoft fans and not so much for Sony fans. But the biggest thing that has kind of come around this and been the most talked about and the most focused on is the future of Call of Duty. It makes sense. Out of all of the game franchises that Activision has, this is the most important one. Obviously, it's the most lucrative one outside of maybe Warcraft. So it makes sense that this would be the one everybody's talking about. And honestly, I've seen Sony make some big mistakes in the past. I've seen Sony do some really stupid shit in the past. It really feels like this generation, they're reverting back to the PS3 era Sony of, just being extremely uppity and extremely, we'll raise the price on our system. You'll buy it anyways, though, because you love us. Kind of a feeling that I get from them right now under the current CEO, Jim Ryan, who he seems like such a businessman first and not even a gamer. He doesn't seem like he's interested in the games aspect. He's interested in the money aspect. Whereas you look at somebody like Phil Spencer on the Xbox side, he's very much interested in the money, obviously, but he's also very games focused, which is incredibly refreshing. That's something you don't see all the time. But last generation, I'd even argue that Sean Layden, when he finally kind of took the reins of Sony for a while, he was more game focused as well. Sure, the two companies would, exchange sly quips here and there against each other once in a while, but for the most part in the last 5 or 6 years, they've really played nice. Obviously, earlier this year, the head of Xbox, and I'll pull it up here, the head of Xbox earlier this year had stated, "We will honor the existing agreements with Sony upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation." And he just said, he had good calls this week with the leader of Sony. This was back in January, okay? So that's kind of the last time they've talked about this for a while, right? So flash forward to last week, end of last week, and Phil Spencer kind of made a rare public comment about this. I really feel like it was meant to bring good press for Microsoft by saying, hey, look at us, we're the good guys. We're going to honor this deal, for several more years until after their existing deal with all the marketing and promotions for Call of Duty expires. And then after that, they're going to reevaluate, okay? Jim Ryan has come out today and he put out a scathing response. I mean, it's honestly kind of surprising, the response that he's given. The response he gave to gamesindustry.biz, and basically he says that the offer, quote unquote, that was delivered to us is inadequate on many levels. And I will just read these comments verbatim because, if I'm being honest, they're fucking absurd. Like, you don't see this stuff very often. Last week, Xbox revealed that it provided a signed agreement to Sony to guarantee Call of Duty on PlayStation with feature and content parity for at least several more years beyond Sony's existing contract with Activision. Xbox said this offer goes well beyond the typical gaming industry agreements. Now, it's important for me to pause there and say that, let's be honest, while they are not saying when this deal ends right now, what they are saying is that it's probably ending soon, and they're going to extend it for several years after that. That's all that they were saying, and that's all Phil Spencer said. The current deal between Sony and Activision Blizzard around Call of Duty is believed to cover the next 3 releases, including this year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. However, Sony says the offer fails to consider the impact on PlayStation gamers. And this is a quote directly from Jim Ryan. I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer, and he fucking name dropped Phil Spencer, which is fucking wild to me, brought this into the public forum. Microsoft has only offered Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current arrangement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers will continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. Wow, that's a lot to digest there. The fact that he name-dropped Phil Spencer in a public forum is fucking wild. I haven't seen something like this level of the two heads of major companies, you know, Sony and Microsoft, with their respective councils, go head-to-head like this, where they're like, he's really going for Phil Spencer's fucking throat with this. But the other thing that this tells me, and the important thing to note is, let's be honest, well, neither side is saying when the deal ends and we get into this extended 3-year scenario. It has to be pretty soon, because the urgency that Jim Ryan is putting into this statement tells me that it is soon. It also tells me that Call of Duty, you know, is pretty pivotal to PlayStation right now, and they think that they're going to lose that. Now, again, the way I look at it, the way I see it, all Microsoft's agreement is saying is that after 3 years, extended from the current deal that they have with Activision, when that ends and that deal is done, it's over, then from that point forward, you know, at that point, they're going to reevaluate and probably determine, hey, should we continue to put this game on the platform, or should we make it exclusive to the Xbox platform? And what I mean by that is, Xbox at this point in time is a platform. It's not just a console. It's PC. It's cloud gaming, like through your phone. It's the console experience. Like, all 3 of these are the Xbox platform. Microsoft has pivoted from just being a console developer to a platform with a subscription model. This has been going on for the last 5 years, and it's working. I mean, Game Pass is fucking excellent, and I don't see a lot of people that really disagree with me on that, you know. So it's an excellent platform. It allows, you know, most gamers to play a lot more games for less money at the end of the day, because even if you add up the cost of Game Pass for an entire year, it's roughly the cost of 3 video games that you'd probably buy throughout the year anyways. So it's really not that bad of a deal or a proposition. And the fact that you get day one Microsoft games, not to mention sometimes third-party games come out day one. You know, a big release this fall is the sequel to A Plague Tale. Well, I didn't really care for that game. That's still a pretty big third-party game to get. Sony, on the other hand, well, they have just put out their own subscription model. It's not the same. It's not bad, but it's not the same as Game Pass. It's not a Game Pass killer. It's a good service. I also have it as well. It has a multitude of games on there. There's a really good selection and variety of PS4 games on there to play. And I'll be honest, if you were someone last generation that didn't own a PS4 and you were Xbox only, and you get a PS5 now, especially now before they do raise the price in North America, you have access to hundreds of games you missed last generation, because buying a PS5 today is also getting you a PS4. which is a excellent proposition because if I'll be honest, the PlayStation was kind of the console to have last generation. As much as I like Xbox as well, at the end of the day, that was the machine to have. So, whereas here, it's becoming more murky as this generation goes on. So, it's also been like the most cutthroat generation in a while as it continues. This news is wild, though. It paints Sony in a further negative light. They don't need any more negative press. You know, just last week or 2 weeks ago, I don't even remember because what the fuck is time anymore, they, you know, announced that they're raising the price of PlayStation in every territory basically but North America, which, mark my words, as I've said before and I'll continue to say, the price drop or the price increase is coming to North America probably after this holiday. So that will probably happen. Like, I'd be surprised if it doesn't. So they don't need further negative press by starting up a street fight with Microsoft over Call of Duty exclusivity, you know. And what I think is going to happen is Microsoft's been on the good guy train for years since Phil Spencer took over. I think they'll reevaluate the deal and probably extend it because they're good like that. But it really paints Sony in this like almost crybaby sort of way where, you know, this guy is kicking and screaming, literally kicking and screaming about this deal like it's going to tank PlayStation as a whole, which we know it's not. The other problem I have with it is it's extremely hypocritical on Sony. And the reason I say that is look at everything that's happening with fucking Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy XIV can't come to the Xbox. Final Fantasy VII Remake was supposed to only be a year exclusive. Then it became 2 years exclusive. And then they quietly just stopped talking about it because they didn't want to be transparent with the fans or Xbox owners who maybe want to fucking play Final Fantasy VII Remake on the console that they own or their platform of choice, and then finally it just had to come out and say, oh, this is probably going to be completely PlayStation and PC exclusive. And then you also have the upcoming exclusivity with Final Fantasy XVI. So that right there, you have arguably the biggest JRPG franchise in the world is essentially exclusive to PlayStation. Now, yes, there are, you know, other entries into that franchise that are showing up on Xbox. We did get Stranger of Paradise earlier this year on the Xbox. You're also going to get the Crisis Core remake, but those are things that, you know, to a lot of people don't matter. They want the main entry, or they want to play arguably the largest MMO currently going right now, which is Final Fantasy XIV. And even Square Enix has come out and said it's not possible for them to put the game on Xbox, which is one of the biggest lies in the industry currently. There's no way you can tell me that game can't come out on the Xbox. It certainly can. They just put Phantasy Star on the PlayStation last week. So the hypocrisy here is just fucking off the charts. And it just comes at a bad time where I feel like there's these little small decisions and outbursts on Sony's end that are just snowballing into this bigger and bigger thing where they've really reverted to the PS3 era Sony. You know, where it's, hey, it's $600, but you'll fucking buy it because you have a PS2, man. Or, you know, we don't have any plans to do this, that, or the other with PlayStation at this time. And I'm not sitting here trying to be biased. I mean, look behind me. I have a fucking PlayStation neon sign behind me. I'm not being biased in any way whatsoever by these. You know, I tend to just play games where I want to play them. I recently just finished the awful Saints Row reboot playing on the Xbox, and I currently switched over now. I'm playing on the PS5. I'm playing Ghostwire Tokyo because it's one of the games I missed this year, and we have kind of a lull for a couple of weeks until some releases that I'm going to check out are coming out, like Diofield Chronicles and Valkyria Elysium. So I have some time to check out some stuff I missed earlier this year. I also like switching back and forth between systems because it's fun to play both systems. As someone who owns them both and is lucky enough to have both systems currently, I enjoy the fact that I have the variety to play everything. And while these decisions don't affect me at the end of the day because I own everything, they definitely affect other gamers out there that are more cash-strapped that maybe only have one of these systems and have to make that decision. Where's this whole Activision deal going to end? I mean, if I'm being honest, it's going to end when the deal goes through next June. It's completed. I think you're going to see a bunch of games hit Game Pass right away. If Diablo 4... Honestly, if speaking, here's another prediction I'll throw up. Diablo 4 does not come out until the Activision deal is finalized, because they want that game to hit Game Pass day one, and I guarantee you it will. And that's going to be huge for Game Pass. That's a huge win. Everybody wants. That was my game of E3 this year. E3, not E3. Diablo 4 looks fucking incredible. But I'm a huge Diablo fan, so that's my prediction for Diablo 4. But like I said, you're gonna have these games. But the other thing why I think it's a pretty decent thing for Microsoft to own Activision is they have a wealth of dead and old IPs that Microsoft could pick and choose from to revive, to make remasters, to make remakes, that Activision currently doesn't give a fuck about, because all they care about is Call of Duty and the different games that are making them money. So that's my 2 cents on this topic. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and until next time.